we were talking about what dating is like as a successful woman. If it's easier or if it's like harder.
To date a successful woman?
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I think it's I think it could be hard to find a woman that's like that, because it's easy to find a woman that's not successful. Like, you know what I mean? So it's a lot harder because especially when a woman knows her value and know what she brings to the table, Um, I feel like that's a little bit harder to find.
That's
Like,
an interesting take. Yeah.
yeah, it's rare. It's rare. But
But
I
you
think,
but it's
but I'll be honest though. I'll be honest with you, man. I think a lot of women are very successful nowadays. Like,
yeah,
I believe a lot of women have like taken it very far in their lives. On the
I
left.
agree
Take care, brother.
100%.
Oh, you want to actually come pulls up. What's up, buddy? All right. See you, man.
Do you think they're do
Had
you
a
think
funny.
they're having an easier time of dating, or do you think it's like people find them intimidating?
Could you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
If you're more successful as a woman, do you think that people find you intimidating, or it just depends on who you match up with?
Right. I think it really matters like who you match up with, who you're more like compatible with, and what you're both bringing to the table as well. What you guys are offering, and what kind of business that you guys are into, and like combining that together. So,
I think a woman would be really energized by that attitude.
yeah.
And it sounds like you would be like you're looking for a successful woman. It sounds like, or you already have one, but you like that vibe.
I do. I would love a successful woman in my life. I would definitely would. Especially a woman that's also a woman of God, because that's important to me too, and like in the faith, because that's the best right there. That's
What
definitely the
kind
best.
of uh what kind of occupation are you like when you hear successful woman, what do you think occupation wise?
Um, that's a great question. Like I would say, she like business, like she owns a business or something like that. Like whether it's like
Okay.
a grocery store or like some type of deli, bagel shop, or she like as or she's like into like finances or things like that. I think that would be
Like an accountant
like an
or a
accountant.
business owner? Yeah.
Yeah, accountant. A woman who's good with money is definitely like that's definitely like catches my eye, my attention. So
I feel that because some people would say that those qualities go hand in hand with certain religions too.
yes, 100%. I really
And
think.
yeah, and it's sometimes it's just a vibe I think you might pick up on some with someone. So it doesn't have to be that you meet this person or she meets you or whoever we're talking about in this made up example at a place of worship, but it does like beg the question where to meet as a successful woman in 2025, right?
Yes, 100%. So
Do you,
definitely, I like
do
that. I like that a lot.
do you think it's more in person these days, or it's more likely she would meet someone in a
Like like
different way?
like this type of interaction, like on like social media.
Right. So this type of interaction is sort of unique
Oh,
because
okay, yeah.
how would you you know contrive this type of interaction with someone you don't know? It's very unique. This isn't something that would happen on a dating app, for example,
Right, exactly. This is.
because
I feel like it's more possible on here to also like meet someone as well.
yeah,
I'm more of like an in person kind of guy. But I also like to do this as well. I think this is great. This is unique, like you said. But I also love to just be out there and maybe just we randomly just our feet just meet up together one day. I think there's so much. I think there's beauty in both ways. Like, I think there's so much. I think there's beauty in both ways. And then I meet her out in person, and so it's a win-win. Those are my thoughts on that.
And how old are you?
I'm 24.
So do you see going out to bars and meeting that way?
No, no, I don't think that would be. You can meet any girl. You can meet any girl anywhere. It doesn't have to necessarily be at bars. It can be like on
Or
here. Like I said, it could
does
be.
that conflict with your religion though? Does that conflict with religion?
It can because I don't want to put myself in environments where like if she's drinking, I go out to like a club, for example, and just to meet a girl or something like that, and then she like pulls me in and she's like, hey, come get a drink with me. It's easy, it's easy to be pulled in like that. That's how they get you because you go back to Genesis with Adam and Eve. Eve basically persuaded her man to eat the fruit with him because he wanted to please his wife. So that's another thing. Like pleasing the girl that you like can be dangerous.
So I think that's huge, finding a third place to meet with someone, especially when that bar or that alcohol event might not be the third place.
Right. I don't think it's the best place to meet. But anywhere. I mean, I feel like I would love to meet a girl like in Barnes and Nobles. You know,
Okay.
woman
So how
that
would that happen?
a woman that's trying to take in information and like try to become the best version of herself. To like and you have all those resources, all those amazing books to read that can help you to achieve being your best self because books are powerful and I don't think people really understand that like it's the best way to take in information too. So I definitely believe that.
And what's your religion?
I'm Christianity.
Christianity. And would you date other religions?
um I don't think so because the Bible says do not be unequally yoked together with do not be unequally yoked. You can't have you know, two different beliefs together because there's always going to be like some sort of conflict or like debate or something like that. So I would really just try to avoid that.
That makes sense. It's good to know what you want.
Yeah, someone who shares the same faith as me, someone that is also like, aligned in that same area with the will of God. So I think that's the best way to go, 100%. The only way to go for me.
Yeah. I almost wonder because I hear about Christian dating sites or dating sites for certain like groups,
I don't drink hills. Ethan, what's up, man?
but I don't think like dating sites that are so zeroed in are as popular as the big ones, so they might be harder.
Uh, yeah, I believe that. Yeah, that's a valid point. Um, but are you a Christian?
I I think I would say I am agnostic.
Okay.
So I lived with people who were Christian,
Mhm.
and I worked with people who uh, were Jewish,
Okay.
and I kind of like parts of both. But what I really like is the idea of meeting someone. People say to meet at church. I don't know if you call it church if you're Jewish, but we know what we're talking about here.
We call it church. Yeah.
We're church. But once you're outside of college, I don't know if that's realistic. I think you have to find a new place.
Yes, I know what you mean. Like outside of college.
Yeah, after you're like 22.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand that. Um, definitely, I
Maybe
can
not.
agree with.
Maybe you can go to a new reading group, or I don't know the right words, right? But Bible study, or there may be groups, and they're great because they you can walk in and out at any time.
Exactly.
But as much as I like the idea of the Hallmark story of meeting someone in a bookstore, I don't know how it happens in practice, right?
Right. Well, it's all about renewing your mind too. Like a woman that's gonna help you like renew your mind, to point you towards the truth and everything. But that's how usually how it is. You renew your mind. There's a Bible verse that says in Romans 12:2, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, and then you'll be able to test and approve what the will of God is. So basically,
So
everything with a renewed mind, it's always gonna point you back to the truth of everything.
so if you're dating as a Christian, does that so you have to get yourself in the right mind state first? Is that
Yeah, you
what
have to
that
make
kind of
sure like you're dating a girl who also, like I said, is also sharing the same faith as you, sharing the same faith in Jesus Christ. Um, believes in the gospel, because you want to be equally yoked. You want to be one one faith together. Because like I said, there's just going to be so much problems if she's into some other religion, or if she's just like exploring other religions in the world, and then she's gonna think, oh, I think everything's okay, and then I'm like, but I don't agree with that, and then it's just gonna be like that ongoing conflict. But
you have a shared language.
yeah, exactly.
Does Christianity say anything about basically being a provider? Like who does the providing?
Yes, it does. It says, the man is the head of the wife, and men should always be the leaders in the households and provide for their wives and for their families, 100%. Because the Bible also says that if any man does not work, he shall not eat also. So,
So does that imply that a, a, a guy who makes as much money as her,
stable
more money than her?
income. Yeah, like a guy who's making stable income and he's holding down his job. He's got
Oh,
a career in that, and he's just going the long run, and just being responsible and being the leader for her and for the household, for the children, if there's any children involved. You know, just being able to being a stable provider and obviously holding down the job.
it makes sense. It's exactly what it sounds like the Bible says. I wonder, just suspend our disbelief for a second. Let's say there's a 37-year-old female woman,
Mm-hmm.
tenure track professor, right? So she's had to work extremely hard. She's making great money. Can she go for someone who isn't making much money at all
I believe she
if he
can.
has other
I,
qualities?
I believe
Okay.
she can. I believe she can, especially if she loves the guy. Like, I believe that there could be a blessing of a woman that can absolutely change a man's life in that way.
Okay.
100%. So
That's really
I still believe in that.
that's really powerful. And I think a lot of women probably would feel relieved by that because women are making good money these days.
Yes.
And as much as I think everyone wants to find someone who makes more than them, well, maybe not guys quite as much, but you know, I think it probably helps flexibility to know that if you find that guy who's in a fulfilled career, who's making 40,000 a year or something, or less, that it still might work. So I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe it. I believe that that there's a miracle and a beauty with that within itself. So I think it's
Cool,
great.
man. I appreciate
There's
your insight.
what was that?
I appreciate your insight coming from someone who is an adherent to a religion, so I can understand what that point of view is like.
Absolutely. It was an honor, man, to be able to give you that. And I really appreciate you, man. You're awesome. I really really are. I just like your presence, your company.
Well, hopefully, we can spread that and help some people who are thinking this same conversation, because I think this conversation, it might not be happening face to face or verbally, but I think a lot of people and women maybe are thinking about that as things are a little crazy. Little, they're not crazy. They're just a little different in the 21st century. It's not the 1950s anymore, right?
Exactly. Technology. This is the new age. This is technology. So
Technology and
this is the new interaction in the world. This is how it is.
yeah, and women are guys are falling behind a
Yeah.
little bit maybe, but guys are falling behind a
Yeah.
little bit maybe, but money and not
Actually,
this, but it's
I do. Yeah, I do. I do. Um, in balance though, like balance is important, and like making an organized, balanced schedule to come on here too, because we can't be so like. Also, I feel like we can't be too consumed by it either, by technology, because it's and I see I because it can be an addiction. It can be. Not saying that everyone is, but it can be. If people don't have self control, then it could be in that way, like an addiction. So I try to take my time on here as much as possible. I try to create like a balance schedule to come on live and stuff. Like I don't do it all the time, but like
cool.
once in a while, like I'll definitely come on here. And it kind of makes me happy too because I don't have a job at the moment. So this is like my source of income for now. But I want to. So I'm working on becoming a basketball coach, studying the game of basketball more. Um, trying to get into that. Want to coach like sixth, seventh grade.
That's super interesting. It makes me think about tell me if you find this resonating. I think something women find interesting in men is men with a community focus, or men who are communicative or can organize a group.
Yeah, I
And
think it's
that,
hard
that
for women to turn like it's a turn on for women.
yeah, there you go. And it's nothing to do with money, which is the backwards part.
Mhm. It's about just like impacting, being that leader, being that positive, impacting those kids, doing something that could be so impactful for the community all together.
And impacting kids or helping keep a community together almost sounds like a feminine trait.
Um, yeah, in some, I guess in some. Oh, that's what would make the woman like the man. Is that what you're saying?
It's kind of both.
Right.